Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Fleeting Thoughts, an altered TCG podcast, part of the Main Deck podcast family. I'm Dan.
And I'm Jordan. And today we're just going to be going over my experience with the Tumult Championship.
The first ever. Jordan just informed me. I actually had no idea, but based on how it was scheduled, right? Yours was like the first?
Yep. From what I was told, ours was the first Tumult Championship ever.
That's wild. That's crazy. Mine is actually taking place early next week, a few days after recording this. So yeah, I'm excited about that. Excited to play in it, but I'm really excited to hear from you. Before we get to that, Jordan, how you been? It's been we haven't done this podcast in like 1,000 years.
Yeah, as fate would have it, it just didn't want us to do the podcast. One of the weekends I was deathly ill. One of the weekends we were gone for a trip for Grand Archive. Another weekend my internet was broken. So, and there was another weekend in there, and I think I was sick again because it had been like another month, and I just had a bad string of being sick. Don't remember exactly what it was, but long story short, we're here now.
Yeah, I've had people asking like, where did you guys quit again or whatever? It was very unfortunate. And with just how the schedule is for everything in Main Deck, sometimes if we miss our recording day, it's really difficult to like find another opportunity for both of us to be able to record it. So very sorry about that. Thank you all if you're here for sticking with it, or if this is the first time, hey, we do a podcast. It's kind of regular. It's not as regular as I'd like, but we're going to keep trying. So yeah, I mean, I think for this episode, it's going to be just a little bit on the short end, as it's mostly just going to be Jordan talking about this Tumult. And then on the following episode, we can talk about some more stuff, talk about my Tumult, all that kind of stuff. So just before I give the floor over to Jordan to tell us about his experience with that, I just want to mention, if you guys do enjoy listening to this podcast, the best way you can support us is just interacting with the video or the podcast wherever you're listening. If you're on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe to the channel, all that stuff. If you're listening on a podcast platform, then you can give us a rating there. We'd like 5-star rating. My favorite podcast that ever posts. You can write something like that. That would be really fun. And then, of course, if you do enjoy Altered TCG and you want to pick up some more, we have a sponsor, JWD Cards, that sells. We actually have an extremely good price right now on Trial by Frost if you're looking for more of that. So link to the JWD Cards website will be down in the description below. Go check that out if you're looking to pick up some more. All right, Jordan, take it away.
Yeah, so just a brief... not interlude, but a brief aside for those of you who may be new and you're like, what is a Tumult Championship? So the finer points of the Tumult Championship is it's similar to something like a store championship or store provisional level from other card games, where your local shop and the region around it can get together and do a more competitively minded tournament. And this is kind of big for this game because this is actually the first instance of official play that isn't just casual weekly scenario. So people were bringing their top guns. They were in it to win it, and they're out for blood this time around. It wasn't just playing for fun. I mean, obviously we had a lot of fun playing, but everyone brought their best foot forward and were gunning for that top spot. It was still best of one, but there was a top cut this time, which obviously makes it a little bit more. You got to be more consistent with your deck, in addition to bring in your A game. It was very good. Me and my wife both participated, and I sadly have not had the practice with this game as I want to leading into it. So I didn't have high goals. So me and my wife were just like, our goal is to be the best in our faction, because one of the prizes doesn't mean you don't have to be the top player. You just have to be the best of a certain faction, and you get a special oversized promo card of the special promos for the Trial by Frost ones, the alternate arts, which I think is really cool. I like them, and I was also a little puzzled by them because they're like bigger than normal cards, and they're completely full art, so you can't use them in your deck because they're not normal card size, but they're also not quite big enough to frame. So I was like,
sure,
it's very interesting. I'm hoping across the whole season I can get one of each, and then I could have all 6 in like one frame as like a not, I don't think mural is the word, but like a collage that has all of them in there. And that'd be really cool because it has,
that would be really cool.
The artist on there, and then just the art on display, and the art looks beautiful and peak. Awesome. And if you did Top Cut, the thing that I was really hoping to get, and I missed it by the worst margin, the classic main deck, the main deck host bubble out happened. But if you make top 8, you get hollow foil hard plastic land cards, and I really wanted to get the hollow foil land cards.
But, the expedition cards, yeah.
Due to tiebreakers, I lost. I got 9th by 2.3% difference in the guy who tied me for 8th, and I was like, no. So I tried my best. It just didn't happen, but we still had a lot of fun. I personally played my Akasha Moth deck, my Mana Moth deck. It is Draft 2, and it performed much better than the Draft 1 did, but not quite enough to make a top placement. And I didn't make my goal of being the best Izmir player either. One of our locals, Eric, brought his Aphanis deck, and he went undefeated until the last round of Swiss. So sadly, the door closed on me for that one.
Yeah, shoot. What was the attendance that you had? That's what I want to
know. So I believe we had 18 players, which was a nice number. It was really good. So we had people come from the surrounding region as well. We had a couple of people from Fargo come down, actually. Mm-hmm. And Corgan actually ended up topping at our event as well, which is really cool. Shadow the 6th. He dominates over there, and he came over and showed his prowess over here as well. It was also nice to see him because I haven't seen him in a while.
He's the, for people who are in the main deck Discord, he's the main deck league manager as well. He's the one who does all the posting about the leagues. Really appreciate Corgan and his contributions to everything we're doing. So really good for him. Corgan's one of the the most consistent kind of grinders here in Fargo, where we have it's just smaller, tight knit community playing Altered, but he's usually he gives me a lot of competition every tournament, which is good.
Yeah, it was really fun. I sadly didn't get to fight him all day. I was really hoping that we could have had a rematch, and then once he was in top 8, we broke for lunch, and we had to end up leaving, and then I wasn't able to talk with him or do a casual game with him, sadly. But I might be coming down to your guys' neck of the woods in a week or two, because there's 2 Tumult Championships on a Saturday and a Sunday back to back.
There are.
So I might be coming down for that, assuming we don't have anything else going on.
Yeah.
And so my wife was also playing Muna. She's been honing her Rin deck, and I'm really glad she's enjoying the game. This is the first card game. She's played other card games with me before, but this is the first one that she's got into enough where this deck is something that she made by herself. So this is her first holistically owned deck, and she's been killing it lately.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that in a previous episode, and I'm just curious to hear kind of where's she going with the Rin deck? Does she have any were there cool uniques that were getting her in there, or does she have just a strategy she really likes?
Originally, she just really likes the Rin character and
she's my favorite.
And when set 2 came out, there's a lot more options to turn that online. So she's like, well, I'll just give it a shot. I want to give it a try, because for a while she was just playing my Bravos deck, and she was liking it, but she was like, I want to try other factions now. So that was the first one she, went towards. And she did, like I said, at her locals, she's been killing it. Sadly, this was the first time she's finally felt the classic card gaming of you just don't draw well sometimes. She didn't have a good day as far as gameplay wise, but she was also not at the top of her game. She was just getting off the tail end of being sick, so she wasn't contagious or anything, but she still had that last little bit of brain fog and exhaustion going on. So, but she still had fun for the most part. So it was all right. It was all right.
We all have events that just don't go the way we want them to. It happens.
I am fully aware of that.
Yeah, Jordan, you definitely are. You've had quite a streak lately at major competitive events. You've been the number 1 bubbler lately, which has been pretty rough. You and Kyle both, actually. That's been really really sad to watch.
I'm hoping the worst is behind me. Not related to Alter, but the event that prevented us from recording that one time, the event in Seattle. I did literally the worst I've ever done in any card game. So much so that like it was a statistical anomaly at how bad every game went. Because like sometimes you just get those bad draws, but this game it was like the craziest stuff would happen, and I'm like, this can't be real life. But they happen, so sometimes the stars just align.
I want to just, if we have listeners out there who listen to different podcasts, tune in to the next episode of Galactic Ambition, where I'm going to talk about my side event, day 2 at the Star Wars Unlimited Denver sector, which I have never seen. They were amazing opponents, amazing games, had so much fun. I 0-3-1 with an unintentional draw in the last round. And I have never had opponents that I think got as like obscenely like unbelievable exactly the cards they could not win unless they drew exact 2 cards, and then one of those cards had to flip into another specific card, and that allowed them to win the game. They're like, okay, there's nothing I can do then. That's just how it is. It's part of card games, right? Where it always sucks to take it on the chin right away like that, because you just nothing you can do but go, yep, you got it. I mean, you could be a dick, but like in the altered community especially, I think that's the worst thing to do. It's just, we're playing best of 1 here, right? It's like, all right, you got me. That's how it is. But then part of card games is going back later and being like, laughing about it, really. I can't believe what happened there. That was insane. So sounds like, Jordan, for you and your wife, there's definitely some more luck coming your way at the future Tumult Championships. So I look forward to that. Do you have more in the cities where you are now too?
Yeah, we have one coming up for Dreamer's Vault. It's up in the air whether one of the other shops is going to get it. I think they're dropping the game or in the process of dropping the game. I don't know. I don't know the full details. There was some stuff with one of the employees that was the main person pushing it, and they got a different job somewhere, I think. So they're not working there. So like the main person who runs the show for that particular card game isn't there. So they're unsure of if they want to continue it or not, because they have, a small staff. You've worked at smaller card shops before. Like if you don't got the people that can, invest the time into it, it's like, well, even if you wanted to host it, it's hard to do, because hosting, tournaments, whether they're big or small, it still takes time, effort, and like someone who's knowledgeable to the game. And the sales side, you need to have at least someone who kind of knows what's happening, as their finger on the pulse of the game, because that shop also, they sold like singles and stuff. So that person was kind of key to having Altered going.
Right.
But there are some smaller shops, I think, that are like within like a 40-minute radius. One of our community guys here that Eric I mentioned before, he's a great community member. He keeps everything alive. He's firing everyone up. And he's been compiling all the info for it. So he mentioned there's another one that's in a smaller town, I think between here and Fargo, if my memory serves me correctly.
Okay.
That's
St. Cloud or something?
It might be St. Cloud, or it's another like smaller town that when he said it, I was like, is that a town nearby? And he's like, yeah, it's just up that way. So, so I might hit up that one as well. We'll see how things go and what dates they pick. A couple of the stores got the green light for the Tumult Championships, but they just haven't set dates yet, as far as I remember. So,
okay.
But yeah.
Well, you got a lot of grind ahead of you then, which is exciting.
And there's also the SCGCon in the great city of Minneapolis that is going to have a altered presence with a handful of events over the course of the weekend.
Yeah, let's talk about that too, because this is so wild. It's like a secret tournament that's happening where like I've gone to the SCGCon page, and granted that this was weeks ago, so I don't know if it's updated, but when I heard Ian and Kari, who are the folks who are also they came up to Minneapolis to play.
Mm-hmm.
They are very, very invested in the game. They actually have their own podcast, which I'll have linked down in the description as well if I remember to. Otherwise, please leave a comment and let me know, Dan, you forgot to link it.
And they make excellent proxies for tokens.
Yeah. Kari draws them herself. They're really, really cool. I don't know if she wants me to talk about it, but I've seen a playmat she's working on as well, which is very exciting too. They're huge supporters of the game. And they told me, they were like, hey, are you going do you want to go to SCGCon for altered stuff? And I was like, number one, I actually already am going because I'm on staff to judge Star Wars there. So number two, no, I can't because I'm on staff to judge Star Wars there. But number three, what are you talking about? What do you mean altered events? And then I looked at the website, like, I don't see any altered event listed here. And they showed me another thing, like, no, here, like, it's like you have to like pull out a book from a bookcase and you spin around and then you'll find like the secret altered. Jordan, tell me what's going on here. Do you know?
I know the information about the events happening now. When that was all going on in the beginning, so I guess what happened is they found the listings and they weren't supposed to be made public, and then they got delisted. So our community leader here, Eric, was posting to a gentleman who works there, Justin, which you guys may know from the semi-recent altered newsletter about him. But so we pinged him and we're like, hey, Eric was like, what's the deal? Like, we saw these events. Are you guys going to be there? And of course, Justin can't say anything official because it's not a word. So he was just like, I don't know. I don't know anything. And then someone was like, maybe I should take those days off. And he's like, that could be a good idea. You might want to do it if you like altered, maybe. So we had rumors. The rumor mill was churning, but nothing official. But then when they did the AMA, at the end of the AMA, they just kind of snuck in the fact at like the end of the AMA that, hey, yeah, we're gonna be there. We're gonna have events. Look forward to them being posted. And now the full list of events is actually a handful of them. So they have stuff going on every day. On Friday, and before I say it, I love it because they're covering kind of all the facets of the game. So if no matter what mode of game you like to play, there's something for you here. So they got booster draft on Friday. They got constructed on Friday. Saturday, they're doing another booster draft and another constructed with a special first place prize of like cash and an oversized card. I don't think they've mentioned what card it is, but if those of you have played Grand Archive, it's probably similar to, at a sense, they have the huge like character cards. So
yeah, it's a common thing in a lot of TCGs that Magic like probably started it, honestly. But
okay, I know Magic does the thing at Gen Con each year where you play with an oversized deck.
They have enough of them where they can do that.
Yeah. So there's the Saturday's events, and then the thing that gets really exciting is Sunday is 2v2 constructed.
Ooh.
Yeah, so there'll be 2v2 constructed and then another booster draft. So whether you like the 2v2 or you like regular old constructed or you like drafting, they got you covered here. I think the only thing that's not there is just regular limited sealed, but I feel like the game just does better with draft anyway because of the way it's structured. Sealed is okay, but draft is just better, and I think it was designed for draft, so that makes sense that it feels better to play that way. But
that's cool. That's exciting. I think my Sunday is free, so I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm doing. I was gonna play Star Wars side events, but now I may have to make myself available for some other things. Maybe I'll mix it up, play both or something. We'll see.
Yeah, for sure. I know we'll probably be there at least one of the days. Me and my wife will be there playing. We might try to just do the Sunday just because we like 2v2 a lot, and that's the one that has it. There's also a chance we might do one of the drafts because I know she's been wanting to draft, and every time we've had a draft here, she's either sick or has prior engagements and she can't go, so only I've been able to draft. But it should be an exciting, action-packed weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great call out. Good to mention, and it's really good to see as well. I know Justin Parnell has worked with SCG for many years, so it doesn't surprise me that he was able to kind of get it potentially onto the docket for some SCG cons, and that's a really good route, I think, right now, just to try and get some more awareness of the game, and some organized play options out to people, because especially as we're all sitting here waiting for the full release of the market, you need a little bit of a shot in the arm, a little bit of excitement, I think, to keep things rolling. So I really hope they continue that. I hope they do more of those. There's another SCGCon coming very soon in Virginia, I believe. So hopefully they can do that as well.
Yeah, that's excellent. I'm excited for the future of the game. I'm glad they're starting to kick up their official play, because that was the main core facet that just kind of needed to fit into place. I know it's probably something new for the Alter team as well, coming from a board game background. That's not something that board games generally facilitate. But I think they're doing a pretty decent job at their first crack at it. So I'm excited to see what the future holds, especially since they mentioned back in the day that they're going to have the Tumult Championships, and then there's going to be the big championship. I forgot the name of it though. They had a big fancy name for the like big event.
Yeah, I don't remember what they called it. All I remember is we talked about convergences, and I want to experience whatever that is. Talking to the team back in January when we visited Equinox Studios in Paris. I remember I talked to Loki at the time, and he showed me what he was working on for the Tumult. He showed me the prizes that they were planning to send out and everything. And there was a lot of passion and excitement, trying to create something exciting for people that they could provide at that level. I think getting that store level really figured out is going to be really important. So I'm glad that they have a system. I'm glad there are a bunch of tumults for both of us in our towns. Hopefully everyone out there who is hanging on and playing locally, whatever, has a tumult to play in it as well, at least one. As I think we're coming up surprisingly fast on set 3, actually. I think they posted, it was like, I mentioned this maybe locally or something a week or two ago, but they posted and they said, it's been 2 months since Trial by Frost came out. How's it going? I was like, what?
Yeah, same here. Like, I was just like, yeah, like the other day I was just checking my app to see like how many credits I have for the adventure pass and how many more I'm going to need to finalize it and plan that out. And I was like, hell, I have so many already. There's no way we've had this many events. And I look at the counter like, no, it has been here for like a little over 2 months. It's insane. It's been flying by.
Yeah, it's very, very absurd. So yeah, we got that to look forward to. Now, Jordan, I want to ask you one question, maybe for sort of our last big topic we want to talk about today. So I had talked to Ian and Kari after they got back from your Tumult, and they mentioned one hero in particular did pretty okay at the event. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so I actually fought one of these characters. I didn't get to fight a bulk of them, but it didn't seem... I will preface this with, I know there's maybe some people who think that maybe they should be banned or adjusted. I want to wait a little more just to make sure. I don't want to let like just a couple games or a couple championships, like, because you got to let it simmer. Maybe it's just because I fought the deck and it didn't completely overtake me. I felt like it was anyone's game until it was over. But Sigismar kind of did really well at our Tumult. If you look just at our Tumult, there was only 3, and they were first, second, and fourth. So they did quite well. It's definitely a card that me personally, I don't think it's quite broken, but I know it's really teetering on the edge of that, if you ask my honest opinion, because you just get so much value constantly in all situations, no matter what. And like Blue has the toolkit to leverage that like little bit of extra so much every turn. Being able to pressure one side without doing anything, like, it makes it hard to fight against depending on what you have in your deck or what strategies you're going for.
Yeah. I want to talk, I just want to have a segment here just talking about, like, is that the case? Is Sigismar broken a little bit? And I know you kind of want to do a jury's out a little bit, But I want to set the stage for what I feel like, just from my experience with the game, my experience with other TCGs, what I observe just on a sort of basic design level, and just see how it resonates with you, Jordan, and of course with the audience as well. So Sigismar, when you look at the tapestry of the different heroes that are in the game, Sigismar has an ability that appears to be numerically on par with several other ones. The great examples are, we have Sigismar and Teja. And Sigismar, every noon, makes a 1/1/1 token in your hero expedition. Teja, every turn, puts a 1/1/1 buff counter on the first character that you play. So 1/1/1, 1/1/1, right? Pretty straightforward. Kojo and Buddha makes a 2/2/2 token in your companion expedition every other turn, right? So 2/2/2 every other turn, 1/1/1 every turn. It kind of it's the same. It's the same, right? And you compare those to things like Aphanis and Senka, who's like, you can put a 1/1/1 a boost counter onto everything that you play, onto one thing that you play for every spell that you play each turn. That can be so many more stats, right? So what's going on here? Why do we feel that Sigismar, who feels like it should be on par with the others, is not? Is potentially too strong. And this is something that we've seen not just now, but we go back to the discussions about starter decks way back when. It was like, the Ortis one is clearly better. And I think we discussed at the time, it was like, well, yeah, in the starter deck format it is, but when you get to the full game, I'm sure there'll be more interaction. It'll be easier to kind of deal with. And I think what happened is that didn't happen. That's part of it. I think one part of it is that the only real ways to deal with the tokens existing on board in a way that is like gaining value on them a little bit is cards like Kraken's Wrath, to just like choose to return a bunch of them, which then gets rid of them, which is available in Izmir and Axiom, which are also, though, the token creating colors, not Ortis, but those two are the ones that create the most tokens otherwise as well. Ortis has other ones like Teamwork Training that can probably cheaply bounce tokens or something. But then that's also in Ortis. And it does feel like a lot of these abilities between the three factions that create the most tokens are also the three factions that deal with tokens the easiest. Which is a little, I think, a little awkward for balance in some ways. But the bigger issue, I think, is like an inherent one with Sigismar, which is just that there is a huge difference, even though we compare them and look at them, between making a 2/2/2 every other turn and a 1/1/1 every single turn, and a massive difference between putting a boost counter on something that you have to play from hand and just getting a 1/1/1 every turn. And the difference is in how the pressure that Sigismar creates every single turn, without having to put any resources into it, leaves you so flexible, so able to. Sigismar is the character who's most able to take two sides on turn one, kicks the pressure off right away. It says, if you don't play to where I play this token into the hero expedition, and I can beat whatever you play on the left side. And guess what? Ortis is all about having even stats all the way down, and like, yep, I gotcha. I'm going to double advance if you don't try and fight me on the hero side. Starts off with that, and then is the faction that every turn gets to do kind of play whatever, dance around. Does it want to play a landmark this turn? Does it want to play just removal, and still has something on board always to be able to like potentially steal that side at the end of it? And I think that's, and the fact that it's every turn and not like with the Kojo and Buddha, you can be like, okay, it's the Buddha turn, I'm going to play defensively, right? With Sigismar, it's like every single turn. Well, you're just going to play defensively every single turn, the entire game. It's tough to fight. Jordan, how do you feel? Am I there? Am I on the mark or off?
Yeah, I think it's perfectly encapsulates what I was gonna say too. The main reason it also, I can definitely see it feeling oppressive if you're not playing a deck that has it in mind. And I guess maybe that is the first key to realizing that maybe it is a little overtuned, is you have to play with this one character in mind. Like the toolkit outside the toolkit, just the character is what causes you to have to play around the Ortis deck. Like you're not thinking of like, oh, what strategies is the Ortis player going to do? It's this character is on the field. I need to play inherently differently to have a chance at beating it. And like you said, because you have the pressure immediately in a game where, like we've said before, it doesn't matter if you have a 10-10-10 or a 1-1-1. You only need to beat them on by one in the slot that you're trying to go for. So the fact that that character exists means you have to answer it in some way. Now,
Yeah.
it is weak, but the main reason why I consider Kojo and Buddha the best red character is because the other ones technically, like you said, give the same value over the course of the 2 turns. A body is worth way more than just a static buff. Like I would even take a 1-1-1 free body over a +2/+2/+2 any day, because the the pluses require a body to put the pluses on, so that means you already have to pay for something to even get value out of the character, in addition to, it's so much easier to get rid of. If I
Yeah.
play a body from hand and I have this free body, well, now if the opponent has a removal, they have to choose which side they're removing. They can't just remove the big thing and get it off the field. Like it's so much weaker to just have buffs than it is to have bodies on the field. And Sigismar is the perfect pressure. Like you said, Kojo and Buddha at least is tempered, because you can be, you switch from aggress defense, so you can gain ground against them. And Bravos also has less of a wide spanning toolkit, so it doesn't feel as oppressive, because they're, for the most part, kind of all offense, or they teeter somewhere in what you'd consider mid range in this game. I guess. Versus Ortis being able to be hyper aggressive or hyper defensive or hyper controlly, and like having the extra body means while they're doing any of those, that's just so much extra pressure that you can exude on your opponent, and they have to answer it or lose.
Yeah, and I think, you mentioned too that Ortis is this faction that really can play very flexibly. It's very much a middle ground or mid-range kind of faction that just is there to make value and have value and win with that. We've seen strategies in Bravos that have been hyper aggressive, that have been effective, and we've also seen some like late game ramp ones. I'm a huge fan of playing like the ramp Bravos and the ramp Muna decks as well. And it's not that those decks can't be effective and can't win games. I certainly don't think it's like Ortis is just takes 100% of the games that it plays. But I think when you have those mid-range style strategies that are just value laden enough, they're the ones who just kind of shut the door on anything that is not like optimized, right? To be built to be crushing it. I would never want to play a Sigismar deck against a new player who just jumped in, because you don't have to try. You just kind of win the game when just you put out your things like, here's a bunch of tokens. I haven't even played anything today yet, and I already have a board full of tokens, and I'm whoops, sorry. And looking at these Sigismar decks that did well at your Tumult too, they're just all raw value cards, like all the way down. I think Ian was showing me, threw together one of the deck lists and was showing me, and was like, yeah, it's just like anything that makes a 1/1/1 for an efficient cost, boom, throw it in there. And then it had like a few tech things I really liked. It had like a one of Anubis and stuff, which is like, yeah, like I've been killed by Anubis so often, but I'm trying to do some dumb ramp stuff. And they're like, nope, sacrifice it. Like, okay, fair enough. And it just gets to run that stuff and has an already powerful strategy anyways. So it's not like the Lindy deck that's like, oh, I'm playing Anubis so I can combo and I can do my cool thing. It's like, yeah, sure. I'll just throw in like every possible weird out I might need to win the game, and then I'll draw them, and then I'll do great. Yeah. So Jordan, what you said earlier, I guess I want to just bring this back to you. You don't think any current action, or do we need action right now?
So with set 3 looming, I personally think they should just wait until set 3, because like Sigismar could be a problem that runs rampant, but there are easy ways, like easy cards that could be printed in the colors that have a hard time fighting it, that could even the playing field in a fair way that makes Sigismar still playable, but just give people tools to fight against it. Because right now in the game, I don't think there's any like token specific hate. They could easily add like a Blizzard style card that instead of you pick a lane, it just bounces all tokens. And that could be something that they, it's going to be in at least 2 factions, and that gives people an out to those decks that are going super wide, because then they're just like, oh, you're Sigismar, cool, I'm just going to bounce all your tokens, and now what are you going to do? You planned on that being your value, and you have a handful of spells, and you were hoping that you were just going to use the spells to push through with your 1/1/1s. Now you have no 1/1/1s, and I'm going to beat you. Or I could easily see like another token specific card where the tokens swap sides. That way you get value out of their tokens. So
Yeah,
like I said,
or what if you had like a Muna landmark or character that said whenever your opponent creates a token, you put a boost counter on a character you control or something. You do more like just ways to be like, okay, if you're going to get advantage, I'm going to get something out of this too, just to sort of like even the odds a little bit without necessarily making the strategy like unplayable, right? Because we don't want that. We don't want Look, Jordan, I remember when I beat you with Sigismar back at Gen Con. Well, it wasn't Sigismar, it was Gorang then, but it was the same effect. It's fun. I had fun. I don't want that deck to be like gone, but I sure do feel like right now it's kind of open season for just putting out 1/1/1s until you win the game.
Yeah, so that's my hesitation to do any ban yet. Also, just because the character pool is fairly small, and it would really, suck if someone's favorite character got banned. Yeah. But yeah, I just like the field to be open to make it so it's combatable. And since set 3 is coming out soonish, I feel like holding my breath until then, because they're very much, maybe they're already aware of this, and they might have a tech card or 2 on the way that helps smooth that out for token play.
Yeah.
And if they do, then Sigismar problem will be addressed. It'll still be a decent deck that you can play, and it'll still catch people with their pants down if they're not expecting it, but there'll at least be hopefully a handful of ways that'll help you get value against people that are going token wide deck.
Yeah. Yep. That makes sense. We'll wait and see. We'll see what happens. But otherwise, if you're going to your Tumult Championships, everyone, bring Sigismar if you want to win, maybe, or bring a deck that can beat it. Be ready for those 1/1/1s. Jordan, do you have anything else you want to add to our triumphant return of an episode of Fleeting Thoughts today?
Nothing in particular. I'm just glad to be back. I will say though, if you don't want to win and you want to have your own victory, utilize the fact that everyone else will be playing Sigismar, making it easier for non-Ortis players to get that special promo.
There you go. Sage wisdom from Jordan. All right, Jordan, take us out of here.
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll hopefully talk to you guys again in 2 weeks.
Hopefully.
That was our Fleeting Thoughts. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.